Black Hollow was a town forgotten by time and mercy. It sat between two dry hills in the Arizona Territory, where the wind carried dust instead of hope. Once, miners had filled its streets with laughter and gold dreams. Now, only silence lived there. Just before sunset, a lone rider approached the town. His name was Ethan Cole. His horse moved slowly, limping from a long journey. Ethan's coat was faded, his boots cracked, and a thin scar ran across his cheek like a memory that refused to fade. He didn't look like a hero. He looked like a man who had survived too much. As Ethan entered Black Hollow, eyes watched him from behind dirty windows. People here didn't trust strangers, especially armed ones. At the center of town stood an old sheriff's office. Above it hung a rusted iron bell, swaying gently in the wind. No one touched it anymore. People whispered that it rang only when death came calling. Ethan tied his horse outside the saloon. Inside, the smell of whiskey and fear mixed together. The piano was broken. The laughter was fake. When Ethan stepped in, conversations died instantly. "You knew in town?" the bartender asked carefully. Ethan nodded. "Just passing through." That was a lie. In the corner sat Victor Crowe, the man who owned Black Hollow without owning it on paper. He wore fine clothes, carried a silver-handled revolver, and smiled like a man who enjoyed watching others suffer. Around him sat his gunmen, men who followed orders without questions. Crowe studied Ethan closely. "I know that face," he said slowly. Ethan met his gaze. "Then you should remember what you did." The room went cold. 5 years earlier, a mining camp near Dust Creek had burned to the ground. Families were accused of stealing gold. No trial. No mercy. Crowe had led the slaughter. Everyone died. Everyone except Ethan Cole. Crowe laughed to hide his surprise. "You came a long way to die." "I came a long way to make things right," Ethan replied. Crowe waved a hand. "Let him drink. Tomorrow's a busy day." Ethan ordered water. He didn't drink whiskey anymore. It made the memories louder. As night fell, Ethan rented a small room upstairs. From his window, he watched Crowe's men patrol the streets. Black Hollow was a prison disguised as a town. Ethan rested his hand near his revolver. He hadn't come for revenge alone. He had come because Black Hollow was screaming, and no one else was listening. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He watched the moon crawl across the sky while shadows moved below. Men with rifles guarded corners. Doors stayed locked. Even dogs didn't bark in Black Hollow anymore. Near dawn, a soft knock came at his door. Ethan reached for his gun. "Who is it?" "A friend," a trembling voice replied. Outside stood a boy no older than 12. His clothes were torn, his eyes wide with fear. "My pa says you're the man who scares Crowe," the boy whispered. Ethan followed him through narrow alleys to a shack behind the church. Inside lay a wounded man bleeding onto a thin mattress. "Samuel Reed," the man said weakly. "Former deputy." Reed had refused to obey Crowe's orders to force landowners to sign their property away. Crowe wanted control of the valley. Reed had said no. "They shot me and left me," Reed coughed. "Tomorrow, they're hanging 3 men. Setting an example." Ethan clenched his fists. This wasn't just about the past anymore. At sunrise, the town gathered under armed watch. 3 innocent men stood on the gallows, ropes around their necks. Their families cried silently. Victor Crowe stepped forward, smiling. "This town needs order." That's when Ethan walked out of the crowd. He pointed toward the sheriff's office. "That bell," he said. "What's it for?" Crowe smirked. "Decoration." "No," Ethan replied. "It's for justice." He climbed the steps and rang the bell. The sound echoed like thunder. Crowe's smile vanished. The bell rang again, louder this time. People gasped. No one had touched it in years. Ethan turned to face Crowe. "I challenge you. One-on-one." The old laws of the West still mattered. A challenge couldn't be ignored. Crowe hesitated, but pride won. "Fine," he said. "Let the town watch you die." They stepped apart. 20 paces. The wind screamed through Black Hollow. Hands hovered near guns. A single bell clang echoed again, pushed by the wind itself. Crowe fired first. Ethan fired last. When the smoke cleared, Crowe dropped to his knees, blood spreading across his chest. Crowe collapsed into the dust. His men froze. Ethan stood still, gun lowered. "Anyone else?" he asked calmly. No one moved. The ropes were cut. Prisoners freed. Crowe's gunmen fled. Samuel Reed survived. The town breathed again. For the first time, fear loosened its grip. By sunset, Black Hollow felt different. People stood taller. Doors opened. Children laughed. They offered Ethan the badge. He refused. Towns don't need legends, he said. They need courage. Ethan rode away at dawn. The bell never rang again. Because justice had finally passed through Black Hollow.